Why does the French language seem so difficult? Now, my preferred language is Gymraeg, the Welsh language. I can get by in bits of Dutch, German, somewhat. Hebrew I'm making progress in. But for my third language to really grip onto, c'était la langue française. And this is Benjamin. We're going to get into this video about what makes the French language seem so difficult. First off, French with English, more so Spanish, and even Welsh, we have loads of words in common. So why, despite all these, is it so difficult? Well, let's look at these words with English that, we have in common. Le vase, le train, l'enveloppe, intense, simple, l'humeur, l'odeur, le blanc, la, monsieur, le melon, and in June, en juin. So you can see from all of these that though these are essentially or very close to English, the pronunciation is radically different, not in terms of the accent, really, but different vowel sounds entirely that don't even exist in English or Welsh in some cases, though Welsh has more vowels than English. We'll get to that in a moment. Or Spanish with quite fewer vowels. There's a wider range of vowels, which makes French quite radical in terms of languages in a European context. I think you get what I'm saying yet, but look at this comparison of the ratio of vowel sounds and consonant sounds in these different languages in terms of the phonemes, the sounds themselves, how many are in each of these languages. So French, total phonemes, 39. The vowel sounds, 17, or, well, there's 4 could be considered diphthongs, multi-vowels coming together to create a new sound, and 22 consonants. I should mention that not everyone counts phonemes the same in each language, so L'essentiel de la grammaire française, this book by Andrew Jouet says 19 total vowel sounds to 18 total consonants, which is madness. I mean, I'm not saying he's wrong, it's just to have that many vowel sounds compared to consonants. If you're approaching French from another language, which most languages don't have that many vowel sounds, it's going to be really difficult because it's not just identifying a consonant where you're stopping air, but you're mutating the air passing through. And that's really difficult to actually learn to do properly. And it's not like learning vocabulary, it's pronunciation. So let's go back to these phonemes. So France, 39 total phonemes. English only has 36, but it's not as simple of case as saying, okay, so all 36 English phonemes will be in French. That's not how it works. Vowel sounds English, 12. The consonants, 24. So English has some consonant sounds that don't exist in French. But look at Welsh and German, 45 phonemes each. They have a lot of sounds. But it's not equal between Welsh and German. German has a few more vowels than Welsh. Welsh has more vowel sounds than English, so we're not having that joke on this channel. And 31 consonants, more than English or German. And German has more combinations of vowels. Look at Hebrew and Spanish. 35 total phonemes in Hebrew, that's fewer than English. And give or take 5 to 10 vowel sounds, depending on how you count it in Hebrew. And 25 to 27 consonants. Spanish is even less. 26. 5 vowels plus 6 other vowel sounds or diphthongs. There are different ways you could count it in Spanish, 16 to 20, but the point is they don't have many sounds. And so that's why when you hear someone whose first language is Spanish, they tend to have a very thick accent because they're approaching languages which don't have those sounds. And it's like that with us going into French. We just don't have those vowel sounds, especially the nasal sounds. This sheer mass of vowel sounds in French is on a spectrum from the upper throat all the way up to the upper nose. Having so many vowels means French can make a lot of short words with only subtle differences. So where, them, I, or, ou, I, ou. Those are all remarkably different to a French ear, whereas we might not even notice in most cases. So that's, I would say, the chief reason, but it's not just that. Because of these vowels and all these sounds, having so many vowels means that French has had to change its rules over time to accommodate these subtle differences. So look at this sentence. Les oiseaux chantent des hymnes dehors. The first thing, look at all these silent letters. Another thing is de and dehors. The de in that is pronounced completely differently. But you have two things happening with the vowels that change the consonants. Les oiseaux, that S attaches, and des hymnes. That's fairly simple, but it adds up. There are so many rules like this. So, est-ce que c'est trop de sucre? Or simply, c'est trop de sucre. Even as someone who's been learning French for years now, I can't always pronounce it properly just because there's so many little rules. That R, it's not that difficult, you get it eventually. But that esque, that just makes no sense, does it? And there's historical reasons why there's all these rules in place. A lot happened with the French Revolution and wanting to unify and impose a standardized version of French. And you might say, well, why do they spell it that way? I mean, to make the sound mo, you could write it mo, 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 mo. Why don't they just write it mo? There's this thing in French where they want to see where the language comes from. I think it's a patronage kind of thing. This does make it more difficult for people coming into the language to learn it. Like la fête. There used to be an S there. That circumflex just marks out that it used to be fest, like festival. You get a lot of these little rules like the silent and aspirate H. For instance, les hommes ont le H. The second H does not collect the S before it. And you just have to know each of these. Le hibou et l'hiver. The owl and the winter. These rules are quite often to do with pronunciation around these vowel sounds. So if you don't master the vowel sounds, of which there are far more than our language in English or Welsh or Spanish, more than Dutch as well, then it's going to confuse you because you're not going to be able to hear these subtle differences. I wish I had known that when I was beginning French. There are a couple grammatical rules which are a bit confusing. Like, in English we'd say, I miss you, right? In Welsh, dwi'n dy golli di, I am you're missing you. But in French, tu me manques, you are my missing. It is a bit more like Spanish, me haces falta, I you make lack, sort of thing. It's not like Italian, mi manchi, or Dutch, ich misse, or German, ich vermisse dich. Though there are other ways to say it in German, but this isn't about German. Or to remember, the way you say that you remember someone in French, it reflects the pronoun again, often double, which is, it's a bit difficult because not all verbs do it, and so you have to learn each case by case. So, for example, elle se souvient de toi. She, her remembers of you. She remembers you. Il se réveille. He himself wakes. He wakes up. The vowels again shaping differences between feminine and masculine. Old, vieille, or vieux, with masculine. I think you get what I'm saying now, that it's these vowel sounds that make French so difficult, despite the common vocabulary, despite a lot of cultural references which are going to be very similar. The purpose of this video is not to say that French is extraordinarily difficult. It's not. There are things about it which, however, are unexpectedly difficult that you might not foresee. And hopefully, if you're delving into French, you're going to focus on those vowel sounds and shifts and combinations a bit sooner now, because I guarantee you it will change everything in your long-term progress with the language. It's not that difficult in terms of culture because we share a wider Western European culture with Spanish, Welsh, English, German, that we're going to get far more nuances than if, say, you were learning Mongolian. Try learning Mongolian. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe if you did, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you to my Patreons for contributing. Au revoir. Au revoir.